Yes. Oh, Coach, we got another good one today, Coach. We got another good one.
Oh yeah.
Let's get everybody in. They coming in, Coach. Let me give them a few more seconds before we get started, Coach.
I got you, baby.
I want to thank all of you for tuning in to the HBCU Coaches Corner with none other than the swag legend himself, Johnnie Cole. My name is Rocky Miller, and I'm his trusty sidekick. This is a big, big, big week in HBCU football. This is the week that we crown our HBCU national champion. Coach, before we get started, I got to ask, how you doing, Coach?
Man, I'm doing good. Good one, man. I always look forward to this day. You know, that we can get into some HBCU football, HBCU sports, HBCU colleges. So it's a pleasure, and I always again look forward to this day.
Absolutely, Coach. There's been a lot of things going on in the HBCU football. We have, of course, the Celebration Bowl, the pinnacle of the football season, where in HBCU football we get to crown our Black college national champion, right?
Oh,
and also, along with that, Coach, we get to break down this matchup of two iconic schools in HBCU folklore when we're talking FAMU and Howard. But if we were talking academics, we'd be talking about two of the better schools among HBCUs. But we're talking football, Coach. And so we'll break that game down and also talk about the culture and history between those schools. Also, Coach, there was some hires over the weekend, or a hire. Someone you have communicated to me that you are familiar with, someone you know in the coaching business, someone who has coached for a long time, and so we'll tap into that as well. But ultimately, Coach, this is a huge weekend. It's a huge week for HBCU football, and we'll talk about those vacancies that are still yet to be filled 2 weeks after, 3 weeks after, 4 weeks after the season. I mean, those jobs were vacant, and now we're into 2 weeks after the season, and those jobs are still vacant. And we can still talk about some of the challenge behind hiring an HBCU coach. I also like to talk about an article that surfaced over the weekend, and you're going to have to explain to me why that information was leaked, why it was put out that way, because I'm not familiar as to. When we'll talk about it, it's the article surrounding where they are in the process for selecting the Southern head coach. And so, Coach, what are some of the things that have interested you about the things this week and the things that are coming up?
Well, without a doubt, it's always the Black College National Championship. That's what the focus should be on, because those guys worked hard all year and to look forward to playing in this game. It is the Super Bowl of the HBCU family, and again, I look forward to it. I'll be there, down there, kicking it up in the suite. Making sure that I get to see the whole picture. I always, when I watch games, even at home, I more don't watch them as a fan. I watch them as evaluator to really, really see. You got two great coaches, two great teams. They got history on producing. I know Howard hadn't got to this game in a long, long time. And I know the quarterback there, Jay Skywalker, I know he's just his cheeks is all they need to do is give him a Santa Claus hat and a beard. I know he happy as a lark. So it's big things, Again, like you said earlier, we got these job openings. We got once again, everybody else make all these false pretenses. We talk about the real thing here, Rocky, the real show, and we don't hold no punches.
All right, Coach. As you were talking about, I'm trying to bring up the article in HBCU Sports. Okay, first off, let's be honest. Like anytime there's a coaching hire, there's always going to be rumors that go along with that, right?
Yes.
And with those rumors, Coach, with all rumors, I like to say there's a little truth and some posturing or maybe even lying when you break it all the way down. But in this situation with Southern, the thing that concerned me is that the rumor or the information coming out of the information surrounding the Southern job came from an interview that the AD did. And let me just basically kind of address it. And basically what it was saying, Coach, is that there's some several qualified candidates that are interested in the job, right?
Right.
However, they want Power 5 money. And what is your thought or process behind? Now the candidates weren't named, right?
Right.
What is your thought behind why the AD even talked about what the money was going to be, or what the money was, what the expectation of the candidates were once he interviewed them? Why do you think that even surfaced? Why did he even have that discussion out in public? In my opinion, that's not something that generally money or contract terms don't come out till after the contract is signed. Why did this information leak out, or why do you think the AD even discussed this information with a reporter?
Well, first of all, you got to look at the AD's background to see if he's, been in these type of situations. That's just the truth of it. When you know what you're doing and know how to do it, and it's so funny, Rock, that you got the Power Fives or the PWI schools, they hire a coach within 2 or 3 days. You know what I mean? And then they'll pay them millions. And we take 2-3 months, to hire coaches. They knew that they felt that way about Dooley, and we're always good to jump to fire the guy, but we really should be jumping to see who he's going to replace him with. And that's how they do it. They already is in the process, of what we want to hire. And then once again, because you live in a mansion, because you coach on the Power 5 or in a PWI, don't make you a good coach. You know what I mean? Don't make you good enough for where we need you to be. And I put so much emphasis. Most conferences, they bounce their coaches around the conference. It's almost like a family thing, except but in our conference. And me and you, we talked about this. I went back and looked at 20 years of who's been the head coach in the SWAC. From the year 2000, when I entered back into the SWAC from Tennessee State, to now. And out of those 20 head coaches, Coach, there's only one left. All the rest of them are up on the shelf. And most of them are not even on another coaching staff. That's not. And then you wonder why people always question, do we have good football? Well, the gentlemen that's up on the shelf are the ones that's supposed to teach the other ones. But you can't teach when you're up on the shelf. So why he let that information out, I'm not sure. I don't know if he was trying to, because people was putting pressure on him about hiring somebody. That's the only way that I could see it happening.
So, Coach, what I suspect, Coach, was, and this is what I suspected. This is from an outsider, right? From a simply a PR standpoint. People have expectations of Southern making a splash hire, right? Yeah. From a monetary or fiscal standpoint, either the AD is unable to do it or the resources just aren't there, right? Or he wants to make another kind of hire. So he leaks out that these guys, these higher profile guys, are interested in the job, want the job. However, Southern can't meet their expectation from a salary standpoint, right?
Right.
So he goes on to say in the interview that once he talks to him, he realizes that their interest may wane. And this is the reason, Coach, and this is breaking news right now, Coach. So we understand that we breaking news. This is, in my opinion, the reason why he mentioned about salary and his inability to hire a coach. If you look at that, Coach, what it says the interim tag has been removed from Terrence Graves' title. He is now the head coach of Southern University. This is breaking news released 2 hours ago. This is why he released that information, in my opinion, because he wanted the narrative to be, we tried to get better coaches. We tried to make a splash hire. We weren't able to do so. So we're going to hire the guy who's already there. And he was trying to temper expectations of Southern making a splash hire. What do you think about that, that scenario?
I think you're dead on. And, don't forget now, they still got to pay Dooley $600,000. So they got to make room. So why not take a Terrence Graves, who by the way missed our show last week? I want to make sure we put that out there. And,
I
don't know.
We had Coach Graves scheduled.
We sure had him scheduled. So maybe he might owe us to come back on now that the interim tag has been moved from his name. And we know at the time of last week, he only had 3 out of the 6 board members that approved the contract. So a lot of what you just said, I think, is point on.
Well, like I say, Coach, I think this was the AD breaking the news on Friday was trying to ease the expectations of people and letting them know, hey, we want to make a splash hire. We want to hire a big name. We want to do it. But for whatever reason, the people who are interested, the people that the Southern community, Southern family, the names that have been interviewed, and I'm gonna say specifically somebody who was on our show who was a very strong candidate for that job, right?
Yeah.
It was a way for them to explain away why they didn't hire that very qualified candidate. But yeah, this is breaking news, guys, right here. And again, we are going to have the phone lines open. We will have the phone lines open. You will get a chance to call in. You will get a chance to respond to this hire. So let me get that, Coach. But Coach, with that being said, what is your initial reaction to Coach Graves being hired? Somebody who was on the staff already. What is your response to Coach Graves being hired?
Well, in this particular hire, Coach Graves has been around the league a long time. He's really grinded and paid dividends of earning this job. And so when I look at that, you know, I say, why not give it to a SWAC guy? You know, and Terrence Graves has been at Southern, he's been at Grambling, he's been under Pete Richardson, he's been a defensive coordinator, so he does have the qualifications to hold that position. Now it's up to him to keep the position, and pretty much what he's been through and what he's learned. We got to understand that this opportunity is a big opportunity. He not only just representing himself, he's representing a lot of HBCU guys who have done it the right way, who had complained about Dion and complained about guys who have jumped the line. Here's a guy who has been in the line, and guess what? He's stepping up to the head job.
Coach, let me ask you this here, Coach. Just because you waited your turn, just because you paid your dues, does that guarantee wins?
No, it doesn't guarantee wins, but he has the qualifications to win football games and to come in a situation that he understands and that he knows, you know what I mean? And he should be able to galvanize the alumni because he's been around Southern University during their glory years, and he earns the right to be the head football coach there. Because you coach in the PWI definitely don't guarantee wins at HBCU. It's been proven time in and time out. When you look back over 20, 30 years, really 40 years of my coaching career, that guys have came in from the outside and have won at these HBCU schools.
Coach, and from this is a guy you got to understand. I'm coming in from the outside, been in this space for 4 years, watching and literally enjoying all of the, the pageantry, the fanfare, our people being obsessed with football and everything that's around the culture. You say this is a hire that's based on merit, and I have to take your opinion as fact in this situation, or as an authority. You say this is a merit hire, but what would you say to somebody like me that has looked at a guy like this who was already on the staff of a program that was fledgling, a program that actually got the head coach fired? What would you say to somebody who would say this is not necessarily a hire based on merit? This is a lifetime achievement award given to a guy who may have just done his time. He's got plenty SWAC hours, but if he was such a good coach, then why did Eric Dooley get removed from his position?
Well, based on that, I'm gonna give you a two-way there. But I want to say this. I'll tell you, when you're looking at a PWI guy, 9 times out of 10, you're looking at fool's gold because he's at the PWI. Well, he can come down here and he should be able to be good. The thing about looking at Terrence Graves, I don't know what happened to Southern. So in that aspect, you might be right. He might have, and I don't want to say that, helped the head coach get fired. I don't want to say that. I don't think that of Terrence Graves. But I do think that I've seen his work. I've seen his work. I've seen the road he traveled to get where he is. I've seen all those things. And that's why I want to think it's on merit. I don't know what happened in the background of Coach Dooley. I would hope that his coaches were loyal to him, and loyal up to the university, not to do something or something like that. I know Terrence Graves has bounced around in the SWAC. Again, he has been a defensive coordinator. Again, he knows the law of the land at Southern University because he was there. He's also there in glory years. He coached up underneath one of the greatest coaches that go down in black college football, Pete Richardson. So, and I've worked under Pete. I played under Pete. I know what kind of man he is. So I want to say it's on merit, and I look forward to this year of him taking over that job.
Hey, Coach, we got a call. I want to go ahead and take these callers because, like I say,
let me do one thing though, Coach.
Go ahead.
I want to make sure I send that shout out to my son.
Okay.
J. Cole. He's listening now. And what's up? He's a 12, 12, 12 baby. And he's turning 11 this year. So I want to shoot that shout out to my son, Carter Cole. I love you, boy. I know you had a great birthday. Daddy is looking to see you real soon. I'm gonna have my Santa hat on. I got the beard. I'm gonna have my Santa hat on. So I love you, son.
Hey, Carter, happy birthday. And I hope you have had a wonderful day so far. And I know one thing about your dad, he's gonna make sure this not only your birthday, but this holiday season is top notch. So, Coach, we have a caller with the last 45938. You're live on the HBCU Coaches Corner with Johnnie Cole. What's your name and where you're calling from?
Hey, my name is Daryl. Hey, I'm calling from Oregon. First off, Rocky, boy, that was a great statement you made about that coach getting hard down there. You mentioned in that article, and in Coach Cole, they talked about pay. You know, he mentioned about more than $300,000 for pay. So do you think maybe this coach was just willing to take that amount of money versus all the other coaches is why Southern went with him? Because that's what that article talks about. All the other coaches are coming in wanting PWI money. Do you think that was the case? I'll hang up and let you answer.
Well, Rocky, I think your statement was that that he was that it's a mayor job, and I hope and pray it ain't. But guess what? He on the clock.
Well, Coach, this what I'll say, Coach. Because it's public, I know that the offense coordinator was making just short of $85,000 a year. I mean, the defense coordinator was making just short of $85,000 a year. Eric Dooley was making $310,000.
Wow.
If you split the and he was the highest paid member of the staff. If you split the difference, you still can give him $100,000 raise, Coach. $100,000 raise, and you probably won't have to hire a defense coordinator, right? Because let's just be honest with you. One of Southern had several problems last year, but defense wasn't one of them. Their defense, Terrence Graves' defense, performed quite well.
He wasn't a defense coordinator. He was just a linebacker coach.
Oh, he wasn't a defense coordinator. Okay. All right. So he's a position coach that they elevated to head coach. So let me take that under, because I thought Miller. So the highest paid position coach was around $56,000 based on the salary pool that I saw, Coach. Right. So let's say $56,000. Say you give him $100,000 raise. Now he makes $150,000. Right.
Right.
Say you keep the defensive coordinator on. You still keep him on at 86, right?
Right.
Coach, they've saved over $150,000 by doing it that way.
Yes, that was.
Do you think that's why the article came out on Friday about what these guys were offering? I think it was clear to me when I read the article, and I read it several times. I'm like, hey, this guy is trying to set expectations that we can't make a splash hire. We can't make a celebrity hire. We can't make a guy that's coming from a PWI program, whether it's the gentleman who you said that was at Florida. I think Luke, I can't think, Jamar Jaluk, and then guys like Mickey Josephs. And there was several names around that job. But my point in saying this is that the AD set those expectations that, hey, we're not going to be able to spend a lot of money on a head coach. So we're going to have to hire somebody who is willing to take the job for what we're willing to pay.
Hey, or willing to satisfy the fans and play the quarterback they want, and the running back they want, and the DB they want. You know what I mean? Once again, they made some moves early on Dooley, and they maybe didn't think it through.
Now, Coach, this is very interesting. It says that Graves needs to hire an OC and an offensive line coach. Don't make a buddy hire. Well, this is the issue I have with that, Coach. When you hire a guy on a discount, right? And if I'm the head guy and I'm taking a discount, right?
Yeah.
Don't you expect all the guys under you to take a discount? Certainly, you're not going to be able to hire OC that's going to make the same as you, right?
Right.
Now let's be honest. Graves' salary hadn't been released, so I don't know what his salary is. But
I heard it's going to be 150.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's Coach. That's resetting the market the other way, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So let me ask you. Okay, we got another caller, and then I got another question for you. Caller, you're live on HBCU Coaches Corner with the last 4 9910. You're live with Johnnie Cole. What's your name and where you calling from?
Well, Johnnie Cole knows me. Rudy Johnson, San Diego, California. Had the pleasure to play with that gentleman and room with that gentleman. But I have a question. Most of the time on the show, you all are talking about the AD level decision-making. Rarely do I hear you talk about the board of trustees, the president, and the infrastructure that really is allowed to make these decisions over and over again. So my question is, how many of these board of trustees have homegrown alumni that are now setting policy around hiring practice and the like? Can you answer that question for me?
We're definitely the first and foremost, it comes down to who's the governor of the state, whether it's a Republican state or a Democrat state. I know most HBCUs are democratically ran, which is it's unfortunate when you're in a Republican state. The biggest thing that I think is very, very important, that you do get some people who have skin in the game. What is that? Either a graduate from a school or HBCU graduate. But you also has to get money people on that board. People that are business people, not no thousandaire. We need some millionaires on some of those boards that knows how to go out and get some money, because most of these schools need money. But it is important to me, and I've always said that, Rocky, that you get some people that have some skin in the game. And when I say skin in the game, that have at least attended an HBCU school, or particularly that school that he's a board of. But it all falls down from the governor's office on picking and choosing some of these board members. Just like the big schools, they had these board members that are millionaires. They go out and donate big money, or got friends and stuff that donates big money to these universities. And we definitely need that at HBCU.
So okay, I can say this. Would it be plausible, and this is all hypothetical I'm saying, would it be plausible that a board or board members chairman would go into this process and say, hey, we had a contract with Eric Dooley for $300,000 over 4 years. That's $1.2 million. Going into this next situation, I'm not going to make another black millionaire.
Right.
I'm going to have, you're going to have to.
I think that's a discussion that evidently with the AD coming out publicly saying, really, we don't have no money, then you don't make that move. You got to eat the choice that you make. You know what I mean? And again, I thought that they at least should have gave him 1 more year. So now, like you said, I'm counting that Terrence Graves, I hope he understands the pressure that he has on him, and the pressure that will be on that AD, that president, and that board who all agreed to making that choice.
Coach, when a choice like when a choice like this made for head coach, what so you get rid of the head coach, right? Do you think under these circumstances, do you keep the defense coordinator? Do you hire a new AD? What do you think Terrence Graves will have the latitude to do as head coach?
Well, once again, that comes down to the athletic director, to the president. Of course, the board don't get involved with day-to-day operations and hiring and firing. To give him, what type of freeway does he have? Does he have the leeway to change the whole staff? That's yet to come. Some things were going wrong. I know who's the OC. They end up choosing Willie Totten as the offensive coordinator. So something was going wrong on that staff. It wasn't just the head coach, which it falls on, because the head coach really supposed to coach the coaches, and the coaches coach the players. So all that falls in Terrence Graves' lap. Hopefully he's been around long enough to know and to see and to be able to navigate through all that and be able to get to it and start winning football games for Southern University.
Hey, and just an update for those people who've just tuned in. I just want to mention it one more time, just for housekeeping's sake, that Coach Terrence Graves has been officially named the head coach of Southern. The interim tag has been removed. That's Coach Terrence Graves, the only coach who has won the Bayou Classic for Grambling as a interim head coach, and also for Southern as an interim head coach. I want to ask you this, Coach. How much do you think winning the Bayou Classic factored into him being retained as head coach?
Oh, I think big. I think it was real big. He kind of gave him a little relaxed feeling. It was good for the alumni to win that game. I think it had a major impact on it. And the year before that, he won it at Grambling. But me as a coach, I don't put that much emphasis on a guy taking over a program that was already built. Everything was already there, and then you go out, okay, you coach a game, and all of a sudden, now you the savior. I wouldn't take it that far.
So this is Willie Bolden. He has a comment here. He says, Rocky, we not sure SU paid off Dooley. I said he was fired as being insubordinate. The grounds for firing without total payout. This hire will allow us to correct the salaries. Okay, so again, you're saying, see, this is in my opinion. Like, I have no idea what happened between Eric Dooley, the board, the president, so on and so forth, right? But this is the problem. The reason why Eric Dooley got fired is because he was losing. You can name it. You can try to get your money back, Southern, if you want to, by making it insubordination, misappropriation of funds. You can do whatever HR situation you want to make out of it, trying to recover money.
That's not an HR situation, Rocky. It's not an HR situation. I mean? He was picked. He's supposed to be the superstar. He's supposed to be the CEO of the football team. This is not an HR situation. He was insubordinate. Insubordinate means he might have, if he played an ineligible player, then that's something different. What I mean? He just didn't put the player in that they wanted to play, and he kept telling them every week the same thing as if they didn't know football. So no.
So I would hope, Johnny, that Southern wouldn't take the route and not honoring the contract that they signed, and that Dooley signed. Like I would think it would be a poor practice if Southern signed a contract and decided to fire a man basically because he was losing, and then attempt to find some type of loophole to deprive him of the money that he rightfully deserves. In my opinion, that would be low down. That would be low down.
I don't think any court in the country will award that man all his money. I hope they don't go that route where he got to go sue to go get his money back. So no, I don't think a contract is a contract. You tell me for 4 years I'm going to be the head coach. You decide in the middle of the contract that you don't think I am the right guy. You still got to pay me my money. So no, I don't think it's that. I think it's just what you said. Now that we got rid of Dooley, we stuck with this bill, this $600,000 bill that we don't have some alumni to write a check for, like the PWIs gave a man $76 million. They got to find a way. And like you said, he took it. You know, he took the bait. He said, I want to be a head football coach. So he took the $100,000.
Again, you know, like I say, we don't know the numbers. We're speculating at this point, but I doubt that Southern University will pay a man who's making $56,000, $60,000, who they were already paying. They're gonna give him a $200,000 or possibly $300,000, $250,000 raise to be the head coach.
And here's the deal, Rocky. When you look at that number of $310,000, and my next coach is making $85,000, that's such a despair. And I'll be honest, I wouldn't sit there and take no $385,000 or $310,000, and I could only pay my coordinator $85,000.
You were paying your offensive coordinator $56,000.
Yeah, you're asking yourself, not to win, because you're not going to get qualified guys making that kind of money. Not this day and time. Even in HBCU realm, most coordinators are making at $100,000. Both of them are making $100,000. So, man, you know, dude, that's rough. That's rough. $310,000 and $85,000, because that's $15,000 difference. Wow.
You know, Coach, and this we were gonna talk about. So
$25,000 difference. I'm sorry.
What is that?
It's $25,000 difference. It's $225,000.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Willie Totten was the OC by name,
Right.
but we all know that Eric Dooley was running his offense and was calling the plays. So,
right.
But the title of OC was given to Willie Totten, and in the coaches pool, Willie Totten the OC was being paid $56,000. The defensive coordinator was being paid $85,000, and all of the other position coaches were being paid between $40,000 and $60,000. So that was, you know, you got to realize Dooley was getting $310,000. The rest of the coaching pool was about $650,000.
Wow.
And I think you have to have 10 coaches, Coach, right? 10 total coaches, if I'm not mistaken.
You know, 9. You gotta have some, some
GAs and
stuff
like that.
And that kind of stuff. Yeah, man, that's.
I'm just hey.
I wouldn't. I didn't do that when I was at Texas Southern. I didn't take all the money like that. You know, you got to be able to hire some quality guys. You know, to be able to come in and coach it on your side.
I don't. Okay, so these guys are saying Willie Totten was the head coach. I'm just telling you, in the coaching pool, if you look at the coaching pool salaries, and you can Google it, it has a slot for OC, right? And the slot for OC was $56,000. Who was getting that slot, that $56,000? I assumed it was Willie Totten, right? But it may not have been. It may have been some other coach. But there was a slot for OC in the coaching pool of $56,000. Hopefully, Dooley wasn't taking the $310,000 and the $56,000.
Well, no, he was. And I get that. Here's what I did at Division II, and most of the time you should do this at Division II. All right, you as the head coach, whatever your specialty is, you need to run that part, and then you'll put some money into the defense coordinator. You put some next money into your O-line coach. Then you put the next money into your DB coach. You know what I mean? Then you can find your a linebacker coach, and hopefully your defensive coordinator can coach linebackers or D-line. And that's how you do it on a Division II level. But on a 1AA level, whew, that's tough, Coach. That's tough. But I see what Dooley was doing. I'm going to take the 310, or let's just say the 44, because the other guy was making, the defense coordinator was making 85.
Mm-hmm.
Then the 56 from the 85, I guess he took that and loaded onto his own salary. That's tough. Both of them gentlemen should have been making $100,000. If I'm the one responsible for calling the plays.
Well, Coach, that's what we've talked about before, Coach. To get a quality guy to coach defense, a quality guy to coach offense, you need to pay him. We need to compensate them in accordance with their skill level.
Right.
And at this level, I think $100,000 is well worth a good offensive coordinator, good defensive coordinator. Right. When you say you're only going to pay an offensive coordinator $56,000, Coach, you can't shop for the best groceries with that budget. You know what I mean? You got to stay. You got to stay on the aisle where it says where the white cans and it say beans, and then it's the white can and the white bag say sugar. You know what I mean? You can't go over on the side where there's Del Monte and Imperial Sugar and those name brand items. You got to shop over in the generic items, and sometimes we all know that those items aren't of always the best quality.
Coach, you got to go to the food bank. You ain't going to no store. You ain't going. That's food bank money for OC. I mean, he's staying in his office.
Coach, that's Coach, that's reality. You're asking a man who's probably has experience to live in a college town, wherever they may be, him and his wife and his kids live off $56,000, Coach. That's hard living, ain't it, Coach?
Well,
that's hard living.
Let me make sure I correct, because Willie Totten is a good friend of mine. And Willie Totten is retired from Mississippi, so he don't have no money problem.
Oh, okay.
And I can't, and I don't want to have this show putting this offense on him. He coached the quarterbacks. He was the quarterback coach until the end of the year. So He wasn't, maybe it was on paper, but it wasn't in the office that he was the OC.
It wasn't entitled.
Because he came just this past year. He wasn't there the first year. He just came this past summer.
And the coaching and let me say this, the coaching pool money I saw was posted this past summer, so before the season start.
So he walked into that slot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and again, this is not pocket watching we're doing.
Right.
We just simply, if you're going to put together a quality staff of men who are going to be asked to not only lead young men, but also provide for their families at the same time a comfortable living, you have to pay those professionals a decent salary. And at the end of the day, $56,000 is what it is. And I don't see how you can get a competent OC for that dollar amount. But that's just my thinking. You coach, you know much better than I do.
Here's what I want you and our fans to see. That's why you always, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you, Coach. You froze, Coach. So just jump out and jump back in like real quick, Coach. You know how you do it.
Well, let me get this out first, and then I'll jump on.
Go ahead.
I look good like that anyway, though.
Yeah, you do. You do, Coach. I ain't gonna use
This is where, Rocky, I'm talking about HBCU coaches who have came through. This is stuff that you have to go through. And if you don't know nothing about that, all you do is when you come into our conference, You get paid, and the rest of the coaches don't, and you move on because you don't win. But when you come through the conference, and as the caller called in earlier, Rudy Johnson says, you got to have some skin in the game. You know how to handle that. You know how to make that work. And that's all I want to say about that. So I'm gonna check out, then I'm gonna come back in.
All right. Hey guys, hey, you're listening to the HBCU Coaches Corner with none other than Johnnie Cole. Johnnie Cole's gonna step out right quick because he got froze, and you want to see Coach live and in color. But hey, the phone lines are open. The phone lines are open. I wanted to repeat, there has been breaking news this evening that Coach Terrence Graves, the interim tag, has been removed from his title, and he is now named the head coach of Southern University. I really like to get your feedback of what do you guys think about that hire. I can personally say I'm not that familiar with Coach Graves. In my opinion, Southern is one of the blue blood colleges, blue blood football programs, the HBCU football. They should be able to win year in, year out, considering their resources, their fan base, their tradition, their history, and they should be able to win year after year. For whatever reason, under Eric Dooley's tenure, under the tenure of Coach Rollins, who preceded Eric Dooley, they haven't been able to win consistently, right? And when I say win, I mean championships. And anytime I speak of winning, I'm thinking championships. So they weren't able to win championships under Coach Rollins or Coach Dooley, even though they played for a SWAC championship under Coach Dooley the first year he was at the helm. But I really want to know what you guys think about the hire. My opinion is this. I was really hoping that we could infuse some new blood into the SWAC, maybe a celebrity coach, maybe a splash hire, maybe somebody like an Ed Reed, somebody like that could come in the SWAC and give the SWAC a shot in the arm and pose a real threat to Willie Simmons over at FAMU. Because at this point, with how it's looking, it looks like FAMU is gonna have their way with the SWAC for a long time. When you look at the pipeline of talent that Willie Simmons has, when you talk about Florida, when you talk about just the mere offensive genius that Willie Simmons is, when you talk about calling plays, dialing it up schematically, what he presents as a challenge for SWAC coaches. It's going to be a long day for a lot of schools in the SWAC if somebody doesn't come in and pose a challenge to Willie Simmons. And I thought that Southern would be able to make a hire that could invigorate the SWAC with some energy and potentially pose a threat to Willie Simmons. Caller, you're on the line. Last 45938. What's your name and where you calling from?
Yeah, Rocky, this is Daryl Carr from Oregon again. I was just listening to you talking about getting in a coach that can come in and make a splash and I guess take out Simmons over in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
I think last week I sent in a question asking maybe we can get an AD on and ask those guys what goes into actually hiring a coach. What do they really look at hiring a coach? In the end, you can pose a question about, you have these great coaches out there like the Cole boys. Why don't they even get a chance? Why their record doesn't come across the desk.
And we're talking championship coaches.
Again. Yes, championship coaches. So what do you think on that? The possibility of just maybe getting that?
I think that's a great idea. Coach Cole has access to people all over the HBCU landscape, and I definitely look forward to having an AD in. I really would like to talk to the former AD at Langston. I briefly followed his career, read up on him. Coach Cole has mentioned that he is acquainted with that AD, and I would love to have an AD like him on, somebody kind of who is, recently been an AD and has made some hires, and talk to him about what do you think, what do you consider when making a hire, and what is all, how does money play a part in that? How does a coach's experience play a part in that? And ultimately, I'd like to ask him, how does he know? How does an AD know when it's time to get rid of a coach? Because that's what I think is even more important, right? When do you know it's time to let a guy go? Because that's what creates all these openings and these opportunities. Are these guys getting prematurely let go? Because it seems like these coaches are getting let go, and then the schools seem like they're at a pause as to what to do now. They fire a coach, but they don't have a top 5 list. They don't have candidates, or a group of candidates already cultivated. And Coach Cole, Daryl is on the line, and he asked, is there any chance we could get an AD on here to talk about what are some of those considerations that ADs have to make before making a hire?
Well, it's so funny. I talked to about 3 ADs that got it today. I talked to Patrick Simon. I called Vivian Fuller. I called Paul Bryant. Some guys that I know, and had opportunity to ask them some questions, that I had concerns with. And you're right. I mean, I don't think that would be a problem. I would try to run down some. I know several that would really be able to explain some of that stuff to us. I know, unfortunately, I have never been on the side of not winning. And when, like you said, when do you make a decision to let that person go? I think as always, I've seen in the HBCU realm, I've never seen a fast hire in the HBCU realm. You know what I mean? I've never seen a fast hire. It's always like we excited about firing the coach and knowing that he should be fired, but then who we go hire? Then we go 2 weeks, 3 weeks, sometimes we go months without hiring a guy just to make, $2 or $3 or $100,000.
Coach
what
Cole,
portion did Edwin Moore have?
I didn't get it. I didn't get his question, Coach. I didn't hear it. But Coach Cole, let me ask you this, Coach, because you've been hired as a head coach.
Yes.
And I don't know the time frame for which you were hired, right? But
Yes.
if you get hired late in the hiring cycle, right?
Yeah.
How difficult does it make for you to put together a staff if you're hired late in the hiring cycle?
It depends on what level, to me. Because everybody holler, oh, well, put you behind the 8 ball of recruiting. I just don't believe that. It's just so many players out there. You know what I mean? And, you don't know what your team needs, until you get in there and start finding out what do you need. A lot of stuff, Rocky, and I'm glad we got this show. A lot of stuff is what people hear, is what they say. Oh, man, now I'm behind on the 8 ball. Well, if you're a good recruiter and you got the right coach in there, he'll go in there and get the people we need. Now, I'm not talking about waiting until June. I got hired at Lane College in June, Coach. In June. You know what I mean? And so my first year, I went 0-10 because I had to go in there with the people I had. I can't recruit no people in June, So I'm not talking about that far off. But there's been some HBCUs who have waited a long time to hire somebody. You know what I mean?
So when you got a situation like Grambling, right? And Grambling has, Grambling and I hate to bring up your alma mater every time, but it seems like TSU is always putting their foot in it. So now we're in mid-December, right? And there's no sign of a hire to be made at Grambling and TSU. My question is, as coaches are making,
what they waiting on?
yeah, what are they waiting on? And at the end of the day, as coaches are quality assistants, quality coordinators are making professional decisions for their families. When you get the job over the Christmas break, right? What options do you have as far as assistant coaches at that point? Are they all picked over by that time? Or,
Well, my alma mater had a head start. They had a guy there 4 years. He won 11 football games in 4 years. He had a good year last year. He went 5-6. At he lost his opener.
So coach,
and he didn't win again to homecoming.
Stop, coach. I need you to back that up. Okay. Did you say he had a good year, 5-6?
It slipped. With good beats 3-8, 0-3, and 0-11. So yeah, I thought the program was great takeoff, but I had to see. He had a short fuse with me, but I wasn't making the decisions. But once I was going into homecoming, OFA, I'm looking for a new coach. You know what I mean? I really after year 3, I would have been looking for a new coach. 0-11, 0-3 during COVID, 3-8. Now I'm looking, I don't think after 3 years, you should have been on one more than 3 games. So what I'm saying is, what I was trying to get to is, they should have been putting together a short list of people, of what we want, what kind of coach we want, and let's go in there, let's hammer stuff out, and let's go ahead on and hire Johnnie Cole, because he's the only one ever won. No, I'm just kidding.
hey, coach, you got a point there, coach. You got a
he's
point.
the only one ever won in 75 years in the school. No, and get a small list together and go ahead on and make your choice. And by now, he could have been recruiting his first wave and then recruiting again. And his chances would be better on building a great team for the fall. But now we're going into Christmas break. At the end of this month, end of this week, recruiting is over. And it's going to be tough on them. Southern University the same way. When they felt that way about Dooley, they should have been trying to get together a short list. And I think, we had some great guys on this team, on this show, they could have stepped in, Mickey Joseph, some other guys that we know that was out there. And here's the deal when you start talking about negotiation. Well, if we don't have that much money, we got $100,000, we'll tell the coach, look, this is what we got. We want you as our head coach. We'll do this on the front end, take care of your housing, make sure your coaches, and then on the back end, when it's done, we're going to give you a lump sum.
After you win.
And give you more years. You know what I mean? On making this. So now they got to live, with Terrence. And I'm hoping that Terrence do well. You shoot bullets in a barrel trying to kill goldfish. You know what I'm saying?
So coach, let me ask you this, and then we'll move on from this. Terrence Graves won the Bayou Classic this past year. When I think about the Bayou Classic this year, I can't help but think about what happened when Hugh Jackson got inside the 5-yard line with 4 plays.
Yeah.
I mean, in all actuality, Hugh should have won that game. And you say that him winning the Bayou Classic played a large role in him getting the job. How much did poor coaching you know, at the end of the day, you're letting a situation, poor coaching, decide who your next head coach is going to be, coach. So that's why when I asked you that, how much did him winning the Bayou Classic factor into it? You admitted it. It was a huge part in him being selected. But at the end of the day, a poor coaching decision is the reason why he won the game and walked away with the Bayou Classic, and now he's the head coach. Not because he put together a great game plan, not because, you know, he was head or tails above Hugh Jackson, but simply because Hugh Jackson got the ball inside the 5-yard line and, in my opinion, made some poor coaching decisions.
Yeah, didn't score. You know, I mean, here's another example, Rocky, of how much we talk about big time coaches, as we could say, PWI coaches, as we could say. I had a friend of mine, you know, when that happened, and I heard Hugh Jackson's talk about how he had to wear so many hats and he couldn't pay no coaches. You know what I'm saying? This is exactly what I'm saying. And then I made the statement, Hugh Jackson wasn't ready for that job. And what you mean, Hugh Jackson? What you mean? He just got coached in the pros. Hey, the pudding's in the pie. You know, he wasn't ready to come from that level down to this level and make it happen. Because there's some things at that level that you have and do. But at this level, that's what I'm trying to get people to understand. At this level, sometimes you got to mop the floor, Rocky.
But I think about when I think about it like this, Coach. If I'm a 5-star chef and I walk in a kitchen every day with all the proper ingredients, I can put together a gourmet meal each and every day.
Yes.
But if I'm a 5-star chef and I'm missing all these ingredients, can I make a quality meal without those special spices and without those gourmet items? Right? You're only a gourmet chef because you have gourmet ingredients.
Yes.
You're not a gourmet, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What kind of chef are you when you just have potted meat, flour and eggs?
Coach, that's why I said when we started earlier, and since 2000 and now, we have 20 head football coaches that have won championships, national championships, and not coaching today. Doug Williams, Melvin Spears, Coach Jones, Coach Cole, LC Cole, Coach Fobbs, Coach Coleman at UAPB, Fred McNair, all right, Broadway, retired, Pete Richardson, retired, Rick Comagee, Jackson State, still on the shelf. You know what I'm saying? JSU Comagee, PB Frazier just got back in. All right. I just named all these coaches. Coach Simmons at Florida A&M just added him. Some of these guys should still be coaching. You know, a position, a coordinator or something to be able to teach the other guys. These are championship coaches. These coaches know how they like prisoners. They take what the food left, the commissary, they get their commissary, and they make pie and ink. And you see what I'm saying? These guys take a nickel and make a quarter. These guys should be coaching somewhere. I understand we got to keep the young guys in. I understand that. Don't get me wrong. But a coach, just like a president, you got to build continuity. And when you get a winner, you know, some of the people you jump on him and say, oh man, well, you got to get along with the new kids today. Well, hell, Nick Saban is 70 years old.
72, I believe, Coach.
Yes. The coach at Georgia is old. The coach at Clemson, and all them guys up in their 60s. And they championship coaches because they've been there. They seen it. And then guess what? Kirby Smart come up on the who? Nick Saban. Jimbo Fisher come up on who? Nick Saban. The guy in Texas, Sarkisian, come up on who? Nick Saban.
And
Pete
Carroll. And Pete Carroll, who's
right.
Who's 60-something, 68 years old, 70 years old.
The coach at Ole Miss. He did not get good until he came up on the who? Nick Saban. But what we do, we run all our old coaches away. We win a championship. They fired Rick Comegy at Jackson State. He went to the SWAC championship 4 times. 1-1. Alabama State harder. Hey, the man is there.
Coach, let me ask you this. Are HBCUs quick to bail on their winning coaches once they hit a dry patch or a rough spot?
Yes, I just think so. I mean, that it ain't coming from Johnnie Cole. It's coming from, I just read off a list of the last 20 coaches who won championships, and they no longer coaching. The caller said he talked to Coach McNair today, and I think he did take the job. I think so. I think we hired Fred McNair at Texas Southern University.
Yeah, Coach. I'll try to fact check that here quickly.
I know he was on campus.
Oh, so you were able to verify that he was on campus?
Yeah, I verified that he was on campus.
I'll check with my sources and see if there's been any progress made on. Yeah, Coach. Yeah. I don't have anything just yet.
Yeah, I got sources on the ground.
Yeah. Oh, so Coach, hey, Coach didn't double down. Coach didn't double down on Fred McNair to TSU. You Coach, me and you have talked about, and we'll speculate on that right now. I think Fred McNair has a championship pedigree, though he lost to probably one of the coaches who truly struggled in the SWAC this past year in a very pivotal game, right? In a pivotal game, he lost to Coach McKinney
two years in a row,
and that was tough. Now that's tough, Coach. But you can't take away the fact that Fred McNair has a championship pedigree, and he has won championships in the SWAC. So I for that measure of success, I must give him a pat on the back and must say, that in and of itself, in my opinion, is a great hire for TSU.
Let me say this, and I'm with you. He does have the resume for being a great coach. He's won championships. You can't say that. He coached during the other two. He was assistant coach on the staff. I've been knowing Fred since he was a player. Heck of a player. Hell of a player. Could go from quarterback to wide out. Could do it. He did it before Steve did it. So I know the background on Fred. And if everything check out, of course I'm a Tiger through and through, and I wish him well.
Yeah, Coach. I just think it's a good hire. Now, Lorman is a different place than Houston, Texas. So, I mean, that may be a culture shock for him to live in a big city like Houston. I don't know if he has ever lived and worked in any other city other than Lorman. I imagine he has at some point. I remember. I want to say he tried out for the Cowboys for a little while, if I'm not mistaken. But they had a quarterback at the Cowboys named Troy Aikman. They wasn't going to get rid of him for no Fred McNair. My point is saying that Fred McNair has been around coaching a long time. I don't know how long he's been at Alcorn, but he's been there at least the last, at least since 2016.
Let me say this, because they were a little impatient with Fred over at Alcorn, and he's going to have to come in and do a lot more at Texas Southern. One is to try to galvanize alumni base. And I know a whole lot of Alcornites that really didn't at the end start, I wouldn't say turning against Fred, but didn't feel that he was moving the program in the right direction. So it's a great move for him and great move for his family, because I'm not sure how many more years he had at Alcorn. So now coming to Texas Southern, it will be a fresh start.
Yeah, I like I say, man, I just think Fred McNair is a quality coach. Every time I've seen him play, that his team looked buttoned up. I was really impressed a couple years ago when he was having injuries and difficulty at the quarterback position, and he was able to roll out different quarterbacks, and they all were able to operate in the offense. You know what I mean? A lot of times when you go back to your backup quarterback, your offense goes in the tank. He was able to roll out different quarterbacks, and those quarterbacks were still able to function in his offense and be productive. So I think, yeah, we know Swacking the Fool is all corn. Okay, we got all corn. Yeah, we got it.
It's all corn, right?
All corn.
All corn. That Alcorn is all.
Yeah, all corn. So again, I've been impressed with Coach McNair.
Well, he got rid of his offensive coordinator. He got rid of his special team coach. So he will be looking for an offensive coordinator and a special team coach along with his staff that's coming to Texas Southern. So,
if you know Coach McNair, tell him I know a OC that can pull that hobo offense out of the dust off that hobo offense and and light the scoreboards of the SWAC up again.
Well, I got to use my platform to say there's some TSU guys that wanted that job. There's some TSU alumni, a whole bunch of them wanted a Texas Southern guy to lead our program. And so there's going to be a lot of upset people, with that choice, of taking an Alcornite. Did I say it right? An Alcornite. I mean, an Alcornite.
Yeah.
To be over our program at Texas Southern University. We already got an Alcornite taking over our girls basketball team. We got an Alcornite in our athletic office. We already got an Alcornite on our board of trustees. So it's gonna be some Texas Southern, highly upset Texas Southern folks and people. But this ought to teach our Texas Southern folks and people to stand behind each other, and quit putting each other out. Then maybe one of us can get in some of these slots and be able to help our school be the best it can be. So on one hand, I know it's going to be some hot folks. Greg Maxey's name came up. Darrell Colbert's name came up. Tremaine Jackson's name came up. All these were TSU people. But unfortunately, our administration, what I'm hearing is choosing Fred McNair.
That's their guy. That's the guy they want. Yeah. And with all those Alcornite connections, that's not surprising.
At my university.
Yeah, I guess that could be considered Alcorn West.
Yeah. Or Texas Southern at Mississippi.
Coach, what are you hearing in the last thing before we finish with the coaching hires? What are you hearing about at Grambling? I'm hearing that Ed Reed is a strong candidate for this job at Grambling. And I personally, you know me, Coach, I think that would be a great hire. But what are you hearing with your insight through your channels?
I'm hearing that he did get an interview, but also that Mickey Joseph got an interview. Teddy White got an interview.
Who is Teddy White, Coach?
Teddy White used to play quarterback at Howard. He was offense coordinator in XFL this past year. I want to say he's been an offensive coordinator at Southern University at one time. So he's been around. He went to Howard.
Okay.
So that's Teddy White. He's done some stuff in the pros, in the intern program. And, of course, Simon, the guy that's the interim coach there now. And, of course, Coach Brown from Lane interviewed there as well. So he's a Grambling Knight. So, Grambling going to interview Grambling Knights. I'm going to tell you that right now. So it's up in the air. But I think they got their man. It's just a matter of negotiation. Because, again, they're coming off of paying Hugh Jackson $400. Now, do you pay the next guy $400 or you don't? So I think a lot of that and what they're doing there, and they got some good counselors there too. They got Doug Williams, they got Shea Harris that they like to bounce stuff off of, which I think is great. They let two former quarterbacks been knowing the school since I think the 60s almost. I think with Shaq. And then they got their committee, along with the AD. And I think that's the best way to do it, to have some people in there that know the history of the school, know some things about it. My hat goes off the ground.
Okay. Yeah, what I'm still holding out for a big splash, Coach. I hope they pull the trigger on a guy like a Ed Reed, Ray Lewis, any of those guys. Coach, I want to hear a big splash. I want the SWAC and SWAC to get a shot in the arm. I also want some of that mainstream media attention back on the SWAC the same way that Prime had it on there, man. So Coach,
and you choosing Ed Reed to do that? Shame on you. Hey, look, I would go with Ray Lewis. Ed Reed, man, he already don't showed us what he about. Hopefully he don't win and got some professional development because he showed up and he showed out.
Yeah, he certainly did.
I get the passion about it, but you're a professional now, and you're supposed to be the leader. When you lead, you can't show emotions like that.
Hey guys, we're about to move on to our next topic, which is the big game this week, Coach. The big game. The Cricket Celebration Bowl, the Howard Bison versus the FAMU Rattlers, Coach. This is an interesting game, Coach.
Even though the records are different, it is. It's a very, very good football game.
So let me kind of break this down, Coach. FAMU, their schedule has mainly been just the SWAC and HBCUs. I think they played 2 schools outside of HBCUs.
Right.
Howard's schedule has been far more diverse, right?
Right.
They played Big Ten school. They played some CAA schools, far more diverse in composition. And to be honest with you, FAMU will not be the best school probably that they've played all year, to be quite honest with you, right? They probably had stiffer competition in their out of conference schedule.
Right.
With that being said, at this point in the season, right, going up to a championship, how does your out of conference schedule and your in conference schedule play into your preparation for a big game like this?
Well, without a doubt, when you play against stiff competition and then come into your conference, and your outside competition is way better than your conference, it helps your kids play faster, and so that's a very, very important thing, that when you're playing people, you're not playing gimmies. And Howard has played a heck of a schedule, especially being in the conference. And you could go back and look at the 1AA playoffs, because some of the teams that was in that 1AA playoffs did a heck of a job and went deep into the playoffs, even though they didn't actually win the national championship, but they had several good teams from their conference to get playoff berth.
Yeah, Coach. I'm looking at their. Here you go. I'm bringing up the bowl season.
Yeah.
So they played some pretty formidable competition when you look at their schedule, Coach. So they played Eastern Michigan. They lost 33-23. They played Morehouse and they mollywopped Morehouse. They lost to Hampton by 1 point, 35-34. And they beat Robert Morris pretty handedly, 35-10. And they played Northwestern pretty close, 23-20. Some would say they probably should have won that game.
Right.
They played Harvard at Harvard and lost 48-7. And they beat Norfolk State, they beat Delaware State, and then they come up against South Carolina and they lose 27-24. And the interesting thing about this game, Coach, that stuck out with me is that if you look up the box score and the stats on that game, and the reason why I'm bringing up this game is because South Carolina did play some SWAC competition. They did play Jackson State at the beginning of the year, and South Carolina was able to run the ball for 438 yards.
Yeah.
Against South Carolina State. Against Howard. And so that was surprising to me when I looked at how that game kind of unfolded, that South Carolina was able to run the ball for 438 yards. It made me go back and look at the Northwestern game and look at, let me see how many yards was Northwestern able to run the ball for. And when I look back at that game, I saw that Northwestern was only able to amass 181 yards. So I don't know what kind of scheme they were running, South Carolina State was running, but they ran the ball for 400 some yards against Howard. And again, Coach, when I really, break this down, that has to Willie Simmons has to look at that game and possibly see some area of opportunity there. What do you think, Coach?
Well, one thing about it, Coach Simmons can't come out like he's done against these SWAC teams and play lethargic at times, turnovers at times, not consistent at times, and beat a Howard team. Howard probably is the best 6-5 team that's out there. Great coaching staff. They played everybody tough, and you just can't put them down. And that's what North Carolina Central. Howard playing these tough teams and got in there and jumped on North Carolina Central, because if you go by their record, you're gonna sleep on them. You got to come in there and be prepared. Florida A&M has got to be able to maintain consistency offensively, and be able to make Howard have a lot of 1, 2, 3 and outs to be able to get the ball back to Florida A&M's offense. If they don't, it'll be a long night. Because one thing about Howard, they're going to run the football now. They rush it 180 yards a game. As an offense coordinator, you really want about 175. So they 5 over that. I like their quarterback over there at Howard. I think he's a very consistent player, and he does things to make them win. Where Florida A&M, I think, has the plus is the defensive side of the ball. Florida A&M is a great defensive football team that can stop the run, and so it's going to be a good battle. Throw the records out the door. Don't think that Florida A&M, just like when they came against Prairie View, this is a cakewalk. It ain't going to be no cakewalk, Coach. It's going to be a real tough football game.
Hey, Coach, let me take this phone caller with the last 4, 5240. You're live on HBCU Coaches Corner with Johnnie Cole. What's your name and where you calling from?
Hey, Rocky, y'all go ahead and finish what y'all talking about. I don't want to switch the subject up. Y'all holler at me. I'm gonna sit on hold until y'all done with y'all this subject right here, cause I don't want to disrupt.
Okay, all right, gotcha. So this Miak Mike points out a very interesting stat. He says the last 3 Celebration Bowl champs have all lost to South Carolina State. South Carolina State always beats someone that makes you scratch your head. Those boys were playing hard for Buddy down the stretch. I agree. But here's the deal. Here's what I look at, Coach. I can't stop looking at the fact that the Howard Bisons give up 173 in rushing a game. What I think about when I hear that is Willie's going to be able to run the ball and stay balanced. If Willie can stay balanced, that makes their passing game almost unstoppable, Coach. And it makes it, in my opinion, Willie's going to be able to put up some points. And will Howard be able to keep up? What are those rushing numbers allowing and I'm talking about opponents' rushing yards, allowing 173. What does that say as a coach? What does that say to you coming into a game and your opponent allows 173 rushing yards?
No. Here's the white elephant in the corner. That's against SWAC teams. And when you look at SWAC defenses, they giving up a whole lot of yards rushing, and they're giving up a whole lot of points. That's against SWAC defenses. When you look where the Howard Bisons played, there's a different way about how the MEAC plays and that side of the country. They run the football because they have more, and I'm not going to say bad weather, but cold weather, rain weather. So they run the football a lot different than what the SWAC run the ball, because we have good weather and we like to throw the ball around a lot. But Willie Simmons know that he does what it takes to win. If it takes running the football, we're going to run the football. If it takes throwing it, we're going to throw it. We talked about this last week, how he played against Prairie View when he could have just, like you said, just kept handing the ball off and running, he averaged over 10 yards. So that's you looking at fool's gold there, Coach. So
you're saying I should have a coach going into the game saying that Howard gives up 173 yards rushing. A guy from the SWAC shouldn't look at that as a SWAC team giving up 173 yards rushing.
Yes, because they are the best team in this representing the SWAC. And you really, as a coach, both of these coaches are really looking at team stats. You should be looking at team stats. Really what goes on in this conference, learning a little bit about what goes on up in the conference, what to expect, because they don't play each other during the season. So this is really a tale of how we started this conversation off. How good is the MEAC? How good is the SWAC? How good was our schedule? How bad was our schedule? To give you some type of idea of what you're going up against. And I know these two gentlemen, you know, are very smart, intelligent football coaches. I know that is playing a role in how they prepare for each other.
You know, I look at Hampton, right? Because Hampton played Grambling really early, right?
Right.
All right. So Hampton played Grambling really early. Hampton also played Howard really early, right?
Right.
And Hampton was, and what I saw in that game was a Grambling quarterback was able to throw the ball on Hampton for 311 yards. Right. And Hampton was and Hampton was able to run against Grambling for 279. So you know, these styles, coach, these styles really contrast when these teams play each other out of the MEAC and out of the SWAC. The styles contrast, meaning that Grambling's throwing the ball all over the yard against Hampton. You know, even though they did lost the game, but they put up over 400 yards against them, you know, 311 passing. Now, but Hampton was able to run the ball against Grambling for 279 yards.
I want you to look at this stat. Howard gave up only 87 points in their conference. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams. All right. The worst defense in the conference only gave up 175 yards. Now look at the SWAC and see how many they gave up. They up almost in the 2s and 3s.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that lets you know right now, Howard got a good defense.
So, but let me ask you this, Coach. Other than Davius Richards, what quarterback in the MEAC, you know,
it stands out?
That really lights it up from a passing standpoint. You know, that's what I'm trying to figure out is what did Howard do against a formidable passing attack? And I can't really find the game where they were really tested through the air.
Right.
And I know Coach Simmons is going to test them through the air, but maybe they're just that good, you know, on the back end and being able to put pressure on the quarterback. I did see him against Davius Richards. We both watched that game, and we were able to see that what NCU was trying to do was trying to run the ball with their quarterback, and they just weren't going to let that happen. They played man-to-man across the board and focused on stopping the run with the front seven. I don't think that works against FAMU because FAMU has some real wide receivers.
Well, let me say this. They gave up 341 against Harvard, who beat them 48-7. They gave up 341 rushing yards and only 128 passing yards. So, and they gave up 24 first downs. So with a total of 469. So you got a point there. You know, can they stop the pass?
Have they really been tested through the air? Is my question. Like, have they really been tested through the air? I look at this Howard Hampton game, you know. I look at the box score of that game, and it was just simply a situation where Hampton ran the ball tremendously effectively. You know, it was a case where they gave up 250. We're seeing this over and over again. When they play good teams, they give up rushing yards.
Right.
But will FAMU be able to run the ball against a MEAC interior?
Well,
And so, Coach, this makes me want to look up another game. I'm gonna look up another game. Let's look up South Carolina State against.
I just pulled that up
against Jackson State because that happened.
Yeah.
That happened early too, Coach.
I pulled up South Carolina State and Howard.
Yes.
And South Carolina State had 457 total yards. 19 of them was passing. The rest was rushing.
Yeah.
So they never haven't really went against a passing attack.
Yeah.
So that could be their Achilles heel. Howard's Achilles heel.
What do you think about Norvell Brown's statements that FAMU played nobody?
Well, we started off by saying let's look at the SWAC stats, and defensively, the SWAC it's been real tough. You know, they really hadn't played anybody.
Well, I'll say this, Coach, and this is what I really think. MEAC teams. So when I'm looking at no MEAC team put together a formidable passing attack in conference. Like they didn't really throw. And is that, Coach, is that due to style or throwing the weather?
It's always been the style, the difference between the SWAC and the MEAC. 20, 30, 40 years. It's always known that the SWAC puts it in the air and MEAC more kind of run the ball. Now, the MEAC has had great passers. Don't get me wrong. I know if Jay Skywalker listened to it, he probably would faint. But they have had some great. They had a kid named Hooker, Jay Walker, Skywalker. They've had several great quarterbacks that come through, but not close to near the SWAC. And when you look at scoring in the SWAC, Florida A&M gave up 109 points. Valley gave up 194 points. Looking at UAPB, gave up 286 points. Prairie View, who won the West, gave up 195 points. When you look at the MEAC, that number right there is last in the MEAC.
Yeah.
So yes, that real tale of two stories of Florida A&M coming and not really playing against a stiff team like Howard Bisons. And it will tell the story in Florida A&M stand the pressure, and can Howard stand the ball being thrown up in the air.
Yeah.
And if you look back at both Celebration Bowls, Rocky, has been the difference of the game. You know what I mean? Deion's son did not have a great game against South Carolina State. It happened all late. North Carolina Central came out pounding that rock. They quarterback almost rushed 200 yards. Then the year before that, South Carolina State did the same thing. They pound that rock. And I've always told you, Rock, the team to win the championship, they're going to have two things going for them: good defense and good running game.
So they want us to look at FAMU against their only opponent that they lost to, which was South Florida. So I'm going to look at that game, all right, for you guys, and kind of from a stat standpoint.
I got it right here.
I've already looked at it and determined in that particular game what stuck out to me more so than anything else was how FAMU was always behind, but they were able to punch it in the end zone again and again and again and Musa throwing three interceptions. Like if you look at the stats, and I'll just look at the stats. Musa threw for 374 yards, and that is a FBS team.
Right.
374 yards on an FBS team.
Oh yeah.
Right.
He threw
Now
3 interceptions too.
And he threw 3 interceptions. Now he
And
also
they didn't have 5 turnovers, Coach. 5.
Yeah. Huh?
5 turnovers. 5 turnovers.
Yeah. They lost 2 fumbles and threw 3 interceptions and lost by 14 points. Really, it was a 1-score game in the fourth quarter, and probably should have won, to be honest, in my opinion. Again, when I look at this game, what bothers me about this game is FAMU tried to run the ball 29 times, but only was able to amass 19 yards.
Yeah. Well,
that's
looking at the box score at halftime, it was 24-14. Then it went 31-14. Then they kicked the field goal, 31-17. So the game, do you get your reserves in going into the fourth quarter? I don't know.
But what I'm looking at, Coach, what I'm looking at the game cast, right, Coach, at the beginning of the fourth quarter, if I'm not mistaken, the game was 24-31.
Yeah, they came out and scored in the fourth quarter to bring it to 24.
Yeah, with 10 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
it was 24-31, which is a really competitive game.
Right.
Again, Coach, I'm not going to mince words when I say this, and it'll be the same thing I said 2 years ago, right? When Dion was playing South Carolina State, there's no reason Jackson State should have lost that game. They had to lose that game due to not being focused and coming in the game overconfident. If FAMU comes in overconfident against a motivated Howard team, I think FAMU is lose.
I don't think Willie Simmons will let his team play that. And make it so bad, University of South Florida is a bowl team. They finished 66 this year. So that tells you what FAMU has. This is gonna be a great game, Coach. I think both teams are well coached. I think both teams are prepared. I think for Willie Simmons, man, this is a big deal because he knows he's representing the SWAC. He's representing himself as well. And we hadn't won one in a while, Coach. So I think this is going to be a great game. You got 2 parable teams, but who wins? Like you said, if Howard is going to have to stop the pass, Florida A&M are going to have to stop the run. One team's got to be better than the other team on special teams, and at the end of the day, that's the team that's going to win.
Coach, with no further ado, Coach, who you picking?
That's a good choice.
You'll be there, Coach. So you'll have to live with your choice right now, because you'll be at the game in the suite.
I'm gonna take Willie Simmons. I'm gonna lean on the defense. What scares me is Musa, the quarterback, because he will throw it away if he gets pressure. If they can maintain him, meaning Simmons in the offense, telling him don't lose the game, I'm gonna take Florida A&M.
Coach, I have to take Willie Simmons and the Florida A&M Rattlers, and I'm gonna take them big, Coach. To be honest with you, Coach, the best game I saw Howard play was against North
Central.
Carolina Central. And they didn't get a lot of pressure on Davius Richards. What they were able to do was lock up those wide receivers, and Davius Richards didn't have anybody to pass the ball to, and they were able to contain him in the pocket. They won't be able to stay with Marcus Riley and Shareed, and they won't be able. And then Willie Simmons is going to also use a tight end and a running back. This is in my opinion, there won't be a coaching mismatch in this game. You know, in those other two games, there may have been a coaching mismatch when you talk about experience, coach. Because what? You were talking about Buddy Pugh, who had been a coach in South Carolina for 20 years.
Yes.
You're talking Trey Oliver, who had been a college coach for 24 years.
Yeah.
Now you're going against a guy who can really dial it up, coach. You know, as an offensive play caller, how good Willie Simmons is.
Yes, sir.
There will not be a coach. Larry Scott won't be significantly better, if anywhere near Willie Shotgun Simmons.
All I'm saying, Willie Shotgun, if you listen to Coach Cole, man, make sure Moose are ready to pick up the blitzes and pressure. Because if I'm playing him and I've seen him play, I'm coming after him.
Let me ask you that, coach. Is FAMU the kind of team you want to blitz with that kind of speed and elusiveness in the secondary, or do you play a shell against them? What would you recommend your defensive coordinator come in with in that situation when you got great individual wide receivers and also a quarterback that's proven that he can deliver the football?
Well, see, you can play what you call a soft two. And can you hear me, Coach?
Yeah, I hear you just fine.
Okay. Where or what you call quarter. And what is that? That looks like cover two, but it's really man. When that outside receivers get at 12, those corners lock on to those receivers. And those safeties are got number two on each side. I'll try to get more players closer to the ball to do what? Stop the run game. Musa don't scare me. You know what I mean? And then give him some disguises and making sure that I keep 7 to 8 men up at that box to make sure that running game don't get loose. Because he's known to throw interceptions.
So, Coach, you mean against Willie Simmons, you put 8 in the box or 7 in the box or have a heavy box, understanding what kind of passing attack FAMU has? My
safeties would be at 10 yards. Their toes would be at 10 yards. My corners would be at 8. Yes.
Wow, Coach. So
yes.
you would, what you're saying, Coach, is you would dare Willie Simmons to beat you with that high-powered passing attack.
What I'm doing, I'm playing the odds. I'm going to throw my coaching hat on you. Coach, if I shot layups and you shot 3-pointers, who do you think would score the most? If we was in the gym and I'm just shooting layups and you're
gonna outscore me. You're gonna outscore me, Coach.
Exactly. And here's the point. One would say, oh, well, Stephon Curry hit all them threes, right? But of course, there's no Stephon Curry. But to even him shoot layups and shoot 3-pointers, he would make more layups than hit 3-pointers. So the fade route is a low completion percentage pass. It's hard to complete it. So I know in your mind, you're thinking, well, I'm gonna walk up and then these guys gonna run past me. Coach, you can get out there against air and have your quarterback throw go routes, and he ain't gonna complete them all with nobody on him. So now I got a guy on him, there you go. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I would play it that way.
So in other words, you take away the high percentage plays.
Right. He can throw the hitch. I'll come up and make a tackle, but he ain't gonna run by me. I'm not gonna be sitting up there letting him run by me off the line of scrimmage.
Okay, Coach. So, okay. So in what scenario, what would have to happen in the game for Howard to determine that they need to play a softer coverage?
What point in the game?
No, what I'm saying is, like, some teams come out with a softer coverage, right?
Right.
What because in that scenario, coach, everybody should, force the quarterback to make the most difficult throw on the field and press up on the wide receivers and
but see, that's what I'm saying. We're not pressured on them. That's why I said I would put my corners at 7 or 8.
Oh, so you're soft. You're soft.
Yes.
You're soft.
Because here's the thing. When I'm sending my blitz, I'm always going to send a man one extra that he can't block.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
So you want to get to the quarterback as fast as you can so he can get off the ball. Well, a lot of guys like to throw the 90 game slants and slants routes. Well, with them safeties sitting at 10, coach, that makes it tough. But you got to have a front to be able to get to the quarterback.
Now, Coach Simmons runs a lot of crossing routes, right?
Right.
How is that soft coverage, the quarters coverage affected by crossing routes?
See, we ain't playing Coach Simmons. Coach Simmons is just giving direction. We playing Musa. So
okay.
we're going to give Musa different looks, whether we're going to come or not. And like you say, if he's running crossers and he get caught in the blitz, it's going to be tough for him to get that football off.
Okay. So you are going to heat Musa up. You're going to heat Musa up.
Look, he's going to have to beat me. What he said, besides Alabama State, what defense did they – he makes a point. Clarence Kinney makes a point. Alabama State was the best defense in the conference.
And I'll say this, though. They're the only other defense in HBCU football that came close to Alabama State, in my opinion, is Morgan.
Yeah.
Morgan.
Now,
let me
support that as well.
Let me also say this. Let's be honest, guys. The Florida A&M defense ain't far behind Alabama State.
Right.
That's the reality.
Right.
When you talk about speed, the defense, the number of players they can rotate in the defensive line.
Right.
I mean, you splitting the hairs when you're talking Alabama A&M, Alabama State, and Florida A&M.
FAMU's defense only gave up 171 all year. And we know that the offenses were down in the SWAC. Even the offenses is a real down in the SWAC. But 171, Alabama State's 159. They playing defense, coach. Alabama State averaged 19 points a game and went 7-4. That's good defense, coach. The national average is 24. So their offense was so low, but they still won 7 games. And Florida A&M ended up beating them. So Musa would have to beat me, coach. And I think that's how Howard is going to play.
Now, to me, the most competitive game that FAMU had all year, and I'm talking about from a talent perspective, just from a sheer talent perspective, most competitive game FAMU had all year was Southern, in my opinion, right? Was the Southern game. And the Southern was able to match them on the back end, right? But Musa, even in that game, Musa was still able to make enough plays, and we know what Southern's offense was like. You know what I mean? Again, if in fact Howard is as good as some of the better offenses in the SWAC, what would you say was some of the better offenses in the SWAC? If you had to,
man, coach, that's a all of them was stinky to me. I would go with,
but you got to realize when these offenses played MEAC schools out of conference, they were able to light the scoreboard up, coach. Let's not forget what Grambling did to Hampton, and let's not forget what Jackson State did to South Carolina State, coach. They put up 30. So these offenses may have been bad in conference play, but they lit it up when they played Hampton and MEAC schools, coach, and South Carolina State. They didn't have any struggle moving the ball.
Yeah, Jackson State ran through. They scored 37, 27, 34 against Texas State. That was 77-34. That was cleanup.
Uh-huh.
They scored 22 against Bethune-Cookman, 45 against A&M, 19 against Alabama State, 21 and 40 against UAPB.
So Jackson State will probably be the next best offense in the. And what did they get against FAMU? Well, how did they do against FAMU?
They scored 10 points. Yeah.
So, Coach, when I look at this game, I'm saying,
and they scored 19 against Alabama State.
So, Coach, let me, like when I'm prognosticating games, I use 5 indicators, and I'm gonna run them by you. You tell me who got the edge. Coaching, who has the edge
in this game?
Yes,
Florida A&M.
Quarterback, who has the edge?
I think it's a toss-up.
So you call it a push?
I just ain't sold on Musa, coach.
Okay, well, I'll give you that. Defense, who has the edge?
Florida A&M.
Offense, who has the edge? Florida
A&M.
Special teams, who has the edge?
I might have to go with Howard.
I think Florida A&M has the best kicker
because they got speed. They got speed.
Yeah, and the punt return and the return game is better. So, Coach, when you have that, when everything lines up in your favor, Coach.
Yeah.
It had again, Coach. This is not. I'm not. People are going to think I'm biased in saying this. I'm saying this. I've seen a lot of FAMU play. I just don't see a world where Howard lines up and able to just move the ball indiscriminately against FAMU. On the other hand, with Howard giving up almost 200 yards a game rushing, I don't see how they can stop FAMU with knowing that Coach Simmons wants to pass the ball. But if he can stay balanced, it could be good night out. It could get late early, Coach, if they're not able to stop the run against FAMU.
But Coach, FAMU just ain't playing. I don't think they playing that well.
Now I will. So let me ask you this:
Alabama State 23, Mississippi Valley 31. Prairie View, they beat them 45-7. A&M 42-28. Okay. Lincoln, California, I don't know. He might have took his starters out and rested.
No, he didn't even play his starters. He didn't play his starters that game.
Okay. I have to say that. I'm going to write that one off. 24 against Bethune-Cookman. 35 against Prairie View again. He didn't just run away with games.
No, Coach, I agree with you. I believe up until the 3 weeks before the SWAC championship, the team was sleepwalking through the conference.
Yeah.
But I look at when they had, Coach, when they had to have it, and I'm going to say this, when they had to have it against Jackson State, and then when they had to have it on the road, against Southern, right?
Right.
Like, those are games where they had to have it, and they came up with it. And then in a big game at homecoming against Prairie View with all the homecoming distractions, all that kind of stuff, they had to have it again. And then I was there for the SWAC championship, Coach. Coach Simmons and his staff was focused and calm and ready to go. And they were ready to go against Prairie View. Coach, I'm saying in this big game,
it's sad to say, Coach,
in this big spot.
Do you think Prairie View was the best team in the West?
Coach, with with Alcorn getting beat 44-10 by TSU, it's hard for me to argue that they weren't, Coach. Coach, do you know how bad you have to be to get beat 44-10 by your alma mater, Coach?
Do you think, man? Wow, I got you, Coach. Look, it's on the scoreboard, Coach.
Hey, Coach, you called me when the game was like 21-0, and like, hey, check out the it's on a Sunday, Coach. I'm watching NFL, and you hit me up and say, hey, you gotta watch this. You gotta see this. And and when you gave me the score originally, I was like, man, TSU getting the brakes beat off. TSU getting the brakes beat off. Tune into the game, Coach.
No, you said Pine Bluff is getting the brakes beat off on them.
No. I'm saying when you text me the score of the TSU Alcorn game, I'm thinking it's Alcorn 21, TSU 0.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. When I tune into the game, it's actually 35-0, Coach.
Yeah. 35-7.
Yeah.
That was the first half.
Yes, Coach. So when I tune into the game, how bad do you have to be if you're Alcorn if you lose to Texas Southern by 34 points? I don't see a world where
bad enough to take over the job at the university to just beat you 44-10. I don't know, Coach. I don't know how that equal up. I look at it that way too. How unprepared that your team was playing against the worst team in the conference, second worst.
It was a toss-up.
Beat this game to play in the SWAC championship, and I get beat 44-10. Wow. I don't know. I don't know how you do that, Coach. And we're
now, again, it may have been a trap game because they were they had Jackson State on the horizon, but I still say, Coach, I can't say that you're better than Prairie View when you lose to Texas Southern by 34 points. Nothing against your alma mater, Coach, but I just can't say that you're better than Prairie View. Now, was there any team in the let's be honest, probably the best team in the West was Southern. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. The best team probably in the West was Southern. However, they didn't play the best, Coach, and that's why their coach ended up getting fired. But, Coach, let me take this last caller, and then I'll let you take us out. Caller, you're live on the HBCU Coaches Corner.
Hey, what's going on, Coach? Great show. I got a question for Coach Cole.
Yeah.
If the right offensive coordinator job came along in the HBCU line, would you be open to taking it?
I definitely would. One day, I'd like to get back in before my window closed on me. But I guess it never does. When you're a coach, always a coach. But it's got to be the right situation.
Yeah. That's all I just wanted to ask that. That's all I had. I know I held all that time, but I ain't want to disrupt the show.
Oh no, you never that. You're a part of the show.
All right. Hey, thank you, caller. I appreciate it. Hey, Coach, we got some people saying I heard NCCU players were sick. That's how Howard got that win. I don't know. They definitely were sick after the game. I don't know if before the game they were sick, but after Howard put that 50 burger on them, I know they were sick, Coach.
Romeo Carter said, I would love to see the game between Alcorn and FAMU, where you won't see it this year. and now that Fred McNair is leaving, y'all got to start over. So I don't know. You might not see that game for a while until they got to play each other during the season, at least for another year.
All right, Coach. Hey, man, this has been a great show, man. Coach, I want to appreciate you for hanging on with me for 2 hours and 4 minutes now, man. We've had a great show. I appreciate everybody staying tuned and watching us this entire time, man. It's always a pleasure when we come and talk about HBCU football, and we'll have our season finale show next week, guys. I want y'all to tune in, and we'll talk about the Celebration Bowl before we go on our holiday hiatus, and we'll be back. Coach, what, for spring football? We'll be back by then?
Oh, yeah, definitely. After this recruiting period.
Yeah, okay. After this recruiting period. Okay, Coach. Coach, but with no further ado, take us out of here.
Well, I had the opportunity to talk to a bunch of ADs these past years because I want to know and knowledge about what's going on. And most football programs or most athletic programs don't make enough money to feed itself. And it needs money from alumni. Us Black folks, all the HBCU graduates, you got to get something back. If it's $10 a month, $20 a month, whatever you can do. If we all can come out and give $10 a month, $100 a month, together we can try to help fund these different programs, these different Black colleges. And not only does SWAC football don't fund itself, some of the most university football programs on the PWI level and the 1AA level and really don't make enough money. Only the big schools, the big 20 that you hear about, makes enough money to fund their program. So we need alumni support through all the universities. And as I always say during this Christmas break, if you feel yourself at the end of the rope, don't go get high. Don't go drink a beer. Tie knot on the end of a rope and hold on tight because ain't nobody bad like you.